It was Halloween party, but unlike any other Halloween, this was one to remember for my town because it ended up being cancelled by the police for security reasons. A horrible event took place, and here is how it all began. It was a very big party. Everyone had decided to celebrate Halloween together, and a lot of people were dressed up in scary costumes. But everything was for fun. There were lots of drinks and food and music. There was a bonfire at the open area of the town near the woods. Mary, Scott, and Tony were three good friends. Although Mary and Scott were kind of together in a relationship, Tony wasn't from the same town as Mary and Scott, but he had decided to celebrate the festival with his friends, as there was to be a drinking competition among the guys in the town by 12 midnight. This made Scott and Tony excited. They were hanging around, waiting for midnight. Beverly and her dad, who was the town's mayor, had promised free tequila for everyone, and tequila happened to be Tony's favorite. As Scott and Tony approached the van where free tequila was to be served, they found out it was locked. As they looked around, they spotted the mayor and asked him when will the free tequila be served. He told them the drinks should have been already served by now, and that the van keys are with his daughter, Beverly. He told them to go find her and also help in serving the drinks. Scott and Tony searched for Beverly, hoping she wouldn't be far because the van was parked close to the party and everyone was around the bonfire. But Beverly was nowhere to be found. Scott went to Liz, one of Beverly's close friends, and asked her if she knew where Beverly was. Liz told Scott that Beverly went with a little girl to the woods, probably to help her with something, and that she would be back soon. The boys thanked Liz and decided to wait for Beverly and started discussing about how fun the party was. Scott told Tony, "I have a girl for you, and I'm sure you will like her." After telling him about her, they decided to go talk to her while they waited for Beverly. They went to Mary, who was supposed to be with Emily, the girl Scott was talking about. But Mary told them that Emily went with a little girl to the woods, probably to help her with something, and that she would be back soon. Now that was shocking. Or was that a coincidence? Mary just told them the same story that they heard from Liz. Now they both decided to go get the two girls from the woods as they sensed something fishy. While on their way to the woods, they bumped into Miss Laura, their high school teacher. Scott asked her why she was heading to the woods. She told them that a little girl came to ask for her help, that her brother's leg was stuck under a log of wood. Scott and Tony looked at each other, and they knew something dangerous was going on. They explained to her what they had heard from Liz and Mary and asked her to call the police while they go and find out what was going on. They suddenly looked towards the woods and saw a little girl, about the age of 10. Tony called her, but she quickly ran into the woods. They started to think, why would a little girl run into the woods? Dark woods, for that matter. The guys decided to run after her. They heard a scream coming from deep in the woods. They stopped and hid behind a big tree. They both peeked from behind the tree and were stunned at their sight. They saw bodies on the ground. Bodies of two girls laying dead with their heads cut off. What was most shocking was that there were a group of people wearing black robes, standing around the bodies, forming a circle and holding a knife each. Beverly and one other girl were tied down, and from the looks of it, it seemed they were about to be slaughtered because there were already bodies of the two girls on the floor with their heads cut off and their blood in a big bowl. It looked like a ritual of some sort, of human sacrifice. Scott picked up a stone and threw it hard at one of the worshippers in the road. The rest of them looked at Scott and Tony and began to chase them. Scott and Tony ran in fear towards the same direction, but as the men got closer, they accidentally split up. While Tony was running so fast, Scott had lost the strength to continue. He tripped and fell. The men surrounded him and tried to stab him. Fortunately, Tony rushed into one of them, pushing them to the ground, hitting the other with heavy punches to the forehead. But while at it, he didn't realize one of those men was behind him, and he got stabbed. Now Tony was on the ground, bleeding, and Scott seemed to have hurt his ankle. Both the boys were surrounded with those scary men with nowhere to run. Then suddenly, they heard a loud voice saying, "Freeze! Put your hands up in the air! Drop the knife!" At last, it was the police. Miss Laura had called them. The men in the robe were arrested, and one of those who tried to escape got shot. As for Beverly and the other girl, who were still alive, they were rescued. One of the bodies on the floor was identified as Emily, the girl Scott was telling Tony about. She was dead. The bodies were packed away in body bags, and the Halloween party was canceled that night. While Scott had to console Mary for the loss of her friend, they waited in the hospital, hoping Tony survived the treatment from the knife stab. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more videos.